Hello and welcome to Theatre.Reviews with Paul Seven. I'm in Sloane Square, home of the Royal Court Theatre, and I'm here to see porn play. Before I begin this review, here's a content warning. Porn play by Sophia Chetin-Leuner at the Royal Court Theatre is about a woman addicted to violent pornography. Now, I'll do my best not to be gratuitous in my descriptions of the show, but inevitably I will be talking about sexual activity, sometimes quite graphically. So if you're not comfortable with descriptions of sex, then please press the stop button now. And I should also make clear that I saw the last preview before the official press night. I'm Paul Seven-Lewis, and I've been talking about stage shows on YouTube for the last 8 years. I also write reviews and provide roundups of other critics' reviews on the website Theatre.Reviews. I welcome your comments on the shows and on my opinion of them. More women than men search for violent porn. Well, we learn a lot from porn play. It's about a woman addicted to orgasms achieved through watching pornography, which seems to be unusual, since at one point in the play she's the only woman in a Porn Addicts Anonymous group. Well, perhaps it would be more accurate to say that this is a play about addiction, made more attention-grabbing because it involves violent porn and a woman. Now, if you're easily shocked, this is one to avoid. Ambika Mod's character, Annie, spends a significant chunk of the evening rubbing herself. She also gives us enough vivid descriptions of what she watches to leave us in no doubt that we're talking about nasty stuff, even if she insists in that addict self-deceptive way that it's all fake. Now, you might also want to avoid it if John Milton isn't your thing, because she's an academic specialising in the great poet, and we learn an awful lot about Paradise, for which read perhaps sexual pleasure, and Paradise Lost, for which read the pain of grief. Ambika Mod is exceptionally good in this part, communicating desperate need and the shame, fear and helplessness it engenders, all the while presenting a public facade of normality as she pursues her career as a university lecturer and academic and recent award winner. I feel this actor's ability to communicate such complex feelings mark her out as a top star of the future. Josie Rourke directs with precision, and Yimei Zhai's set complements the action superbly. We, the audience, are given shoe covers to wear before entering the auditorium. And that's unusual to say the least, until you realise the entire area is covered in soft, pale carpet, signifying, I think, the softness of women's genitalia. The configuration is in the round. The circular stage area again suggests a woman's sexual parts, but also, because of the walls that take it down through a number of levels, are a downward spiral. The cast reach between the joins in the fabric, much as you might look for lost coins down the side of your settee, to retrieve props, such as a phone, a tablet, or larger items like a pillow. This is wondrous in itself, but it mainly reinforces the idea that Annie's addiction is hidden. Not that it stays hidden for long. She takes out her phone or laptop at every opportunity to masturbate while looking at porn. When someone leaves the room for a moment, or even when they're asleep in the same bed. There's no nudity or actual sex, of course, but there is a prodigious amount of simulated masturbation. Of course, that could be quite shocking, but in the context, it really underlines the nature of her addiction, where she talks about masturbating 6 times a day. Those close to her, her boyfriend, her best friend, her father, all realise she has a problem. Then her life starts to fall apart as her exasperated boyfriend leaves her and her job is jeopardised. Will Close portrays the boyfriend and his love and disgust with sensitivity. He also gives us other examples of masculinity at other parts in the play, a male porn addict's macho mansplaining and a young student's rampant hormones. The arc of Annie's addiction is depicted well. She pretends that the porn is fake, so the violence isn't really that shocking, but after trying it for herself, she has to acknowledge that her enjoyment is watching the women get hurt and degraded. Eventually she reaches a point where she knows she needs to stop. While her addiction seems sad, certainly, it's also alien for much of the play, at least to someone like me with no direct experience of addiction, interesting as it is. But when she reaches the end of the road, sitting at one corner of the stage, again rubbing herself robotically, while the one person who cares enough to help her is in the opposite corner, it's heartbreakingly sad. This is Theatre Reviews with Paul Seven. Please like, comment and subscribe, and please visit my website Theatre.Reviews for my written reviews and my roundups of other critics' reviews. Still to come, some of the funnier moments in the play and why porn play was perhaps not as good as it could have been. Just a further warning before I go on, there are explicit references to sex coming up. Someone commented about The Fifth Step, another play about addiction, that while addiction is no laughing matter, it can be very funny. Now, Sophia Chetin-Leuner seems to take this view because a couple of scenes spring to mind. Because of her continual rubbing at herself, Annie has made herself sore and succumbed to an infection. So she visits a gynecologist, played by Lizzy Connolly, who cloaks the doctor with that brisk, matter-of-fact indifference, not even looking at her patient, that many of us will be familiar with. And during the event at which Annie is to receive her award for a book on Milton, she's approached by an old man who thinks she's a waiter, because she's a young woman. Women are not expected to win top academic awards any more than they're expected to be as sexually active as men. The old man is played by Azif, who also gives an exquisitely gentle performance as Annie's father. At this event, in her mind, people begin to say sexual things to her. A woman seems to say to her, "I don't know how you do it, spend all your time giving head," which is then corrected as "in the head of that vile old man Milton." Well, Milton crops up frequently when Annie addresses the audience, and the set works well as a lecture theatre. She talks about his poems at some length, that he identified the way good and evil live in parallel, and the way pleasure masks pain. And this does help explain how her addiction arises from grief, and how Eve, the first woman, is a rebel against the patriarchy, but also submissive to it. But it does start to feel like a lecture. And there are other moments when you get the feeling that the author has not entirely relevant axes to grind. I mean, there's a scene between Annie and one of her students, another fine creation from Lucy Connolly. The student's been triggered by Annie talking about a rape scene in one of Milton's poems. Annie, representing an older generation, is tolerant of different times and wants to study a great poet despite his flaws. The younger generation has no tolerance and wants to cancel Milton. Why would you want to read him and analyse all these horrible men, she asks. It's a bit of a cliche, but it doesn't really add to the story. It may try to cram too much in, but Porn Play is a play well worth seeing for its moving, insightful look at pornography's effect on sex and relationships. I give Porn Play 3 stars. I hope you found this review useful, and if you did, please like, comment and subscribe to this channel, then you'll be the first to know about my future reviews. And you can read my reviews and my roundups of other critics' reviews at Theatre.Reviews, and you can follow me on various social media.